Hey there. Tonight, we're going to explore the very air around your thoughts. Imagine your mind is a vast, still room at twilight, and your thoughts are like tiny, luminous dust motes, usually dancing and swirling in the last rays of the sun. But now, as the light fades, they begin to settle. You probably won't remember any of this, and honestly, that's kind of the point. It's about the drift, the gentle descent into somewhere soft and quiet. So, before you fully zone out, go ahead and like this video and subscribe, but only if you actually vibe with what I do here. I always love hearing where you're listening from and what time it is in your corner of the world, so feel free to leave a comment below, like a little paper boat set adrift on a calm sea. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's wander through tonight's thought together. You're lying there, and the usual hustle and bustle of your mind, that inner chatter, is beginning to change its quality. It's not necessarily getting quieter yet, not in volume, but the thoughts themselves. They seem to be losing some of their frantic energy, their buoyancy. You notice a subtle shift, a feeling almost like the air pressure changing before a gentle rain. Each thought, as it arises, seems to carry a little more substance, a whisper of weight. It's not a burden, not yet, just an awareness that these ephemeral things, these mental constructs, might have a kind of mass after all. You might imagine each thought as a tiny helium-filled balloon, and now the helium is slowly, almost imperceptibly leaking out, replaced by something a fraction heavier than air. It's a curious sensation, this dawning awareness of thought gravity. You've always experienced thoughts as fleeting, almost weightless, zipping around like hummingbirds. But now, as you relax, as your body sinks a little deeper into your bed, your thoughts seem to be following suit, albeit on a much more delicate scale. A thought about something you need to do tomorrow. It doesn't just flash and disappear, it seems to linger for a moment. Heavier before starting a slow, almost reluctant downward drift. You wonder if thoughts have always had this weight, and you've just been too busy, too agitated to notice it. Perhaps the noise of your day keeps them artificially stirred up, like sediment in shaken water, and only in stillness do they begin their slow descent. You picture your mind as a very still pond, and your thoughts as fallen leaves, finally, slowly, beginning to sink towards the soft bed below. This new perception makes you observe your thoughts with a different kind of attention. You're not just listening to their content, you're sensing their presence, their subtle heft. A worry, for instance, it arises and it feels denser. Yes, that's the word. Denser than a fleeting observation about the pattern of shadows on your ceiling. That worry, it seems to sink a little faster, with a little more purpose, as if drawn by a slightly stronger current of this nascent mental gravity. You might even imagine it as a small, smooth pebble, while the observation about the shadow is more like a wisp of smoke, taking its time, meandering on its way down. What if thoughts that are emotionally charged carry tiny, invisible anchors made of that emotion? A sadness thought might be weighted with a miniature teardrop, a frustration thought with a tiny, clenched fist, and a happy memory. It floats up, warm and golden. Does it defy this gravity? Perhaps for a moment. It might bob gently, buoyed by its own light, like a sunbeam caught in a spider web. But then, even it, with a soft sigh, begins its descent, not with the heavy plunge of a worry, but more like a feather, turning and gliding, reluctant to leave the upper currents of your awareness. You watch it go, this beautiful, light-filled thing, and its settling feels peaceful, like a bird coming home to roost. You might imagine that as it lands, it leaves a little shimmer of gold dust where it settles. Maybe lighter thoughts, like happy memories or daydreams, are woven from a finer, more ethereal material, something like spun moonlight, giving them a natural resistance to this downward pull. The very air in your mental space seems to be thickening just a little. Not in a claustrophobic way, but more like the atmosphere becoming richer, more viscous, offering a gentle resistance to the thought's previous erratic movements. They can't dart about so easily now. They have to move with more deliberation, more grace, almost. It's as if your mind is slowly filling with a very fine, invisible honey, and your thoughts are tiny insects, their wings beating a little slower, their flight paths becoming more languid and predictable. You might even see this honey as faintly luminous, the thoughts like darker specks caught within its golden glow. Perhaps this mental honey is distilled from the essence of quiet itself. This subtle heaviness, it's not uniform. Some thoughts are like dandelion fluff, catching invisible updrafts, taking ages to even begin their descent. These might be the truly trivial thoughts, the little snippets of nonsense, the earworms of songs you barely know. They're so light, they almost seem to mock this newfound gravity, teasing it with their erratic, playful dance. But even they eventually succumb. A little puff of mental wind dies down, and they too begin to drift slowly, unsteadily, like uncertain parachutists. You could imagine these lightest thoughts as being made of almost pure air, just tiny bubbles of nothingness, and it's only when their delicate skin finally pops that they release their hold on buoyancy. What if thoughts could get tangled in each other as they fall, creating soft, slow-motion thought avalanches? You start to categorize them, not by content, but by their perceived weight and their style of descent. The pebble thoughts, the worries, the unresolved issues, the feather thoughts, the gentle memories, the sweet nostalgias, the dandelion fluff thoughts, the fleeting, inconsequential notions. And what about creative ideas? An idea for a story, a solution to a problem you were pondering earlier. These seem to have a unique relationship with this mental gravity. They might arrive with a burst of energy, shooting upwards for a moment, bright and vibrant, as if trying to escape the pull altogether. They have a certain electricity, a crackle that resists the downward trend. But then, as the initial excitement fades, they too begin to settle, perhaps more slowly, more thoughtfully, as if considering their trajectory. You might see them as small, self-illuminating sparks, their light dimming gradually as they descend. Perhaps these creative thoughts have tiny, almost invisible wings, which they use to glide and soar for a while before they must inevitably rest. The room is quiet. The only sounds are the soft hum of the fan, maybe the distant sigh of traffic. These external sounds seem to create a backdrop for the internal theater of your settling thoughts. It's as if the quiet of the room is encouraging the quiet of your mind, creating the perfect conditions for this gentle thoughtfall. You wonder if your thoughts can hear the fan, if its gentle whirring is a lullaby for them too. Maybe the fan is creating tiny gentle breezes in your mental atmosphere, helping to guide the thoughts downwards. You could almost imagine your mind as a garden at dusk, and your thoughts are petals, gently shaken loose by the evening breeze of approaching sleep, drifting down to carpet the soft earth below. And this gravity, this gentle pull, where is it coming from? Is there a center of mental mass in your mind? A kind of soft, dark star around which everything eventually orbits and settles? Or is it a more diffuse force, like the general tiredness of your brain, finally asserting its need for rest, and in doing so, gently tugging everything downwards? You picture it as a soft magnetic pull emanating from the deepest, quietest part of your consciousness, the part that is already half asleep, calling the more wakeful thoughts home. What if this mental gravity is actually the collective weight of all the thoughts that have already settled, creating a gentle depression, a basin into which new thoughts are drawn? It's like a very soft, very slow whirlpool. Consider the sheer number of thoughts you have in a day. Tens of thousands, they say. If each one has even an infinitesimal weight, then by the end of the day, your mind must be full of these gently weighted particles, all just waiting for the chance to settle. The activity of your waking hours keeps them stirred up, a constant mental weather system of flurries and currents. But now, the storm is calming, the winds are dying down, and the thought flakes are beginning to fall. You might see them as tiny, unique snowflakes, each one intricate and different, now beginning to form a soft, muffling blanket over your awareness. Perhaps the heaviness you feel in your eyelids is connected to this, Your eyelids are the first things to fully succumb to this mental gravity, signaling the rest of your mind to follow. This descent isn't chaotic. There's an order to it, a strange unwritten physics of the mind. The heavier thoughts, the pebble thoughts, they tend to find their resting place first, forming a kind of foundation. Then come the feather thoughts, settling more gently on top, creating a softer layer. And last, the dandelion fluff, the truly light notions, dusting the surface like a final, almost invisible sprinkle. You're witnessing a kind of mental sedimentation, a slow, patient layering of your own consciousness. What if this layering creates a kind of insulation, protecting the deeper parts of your mind from the disturbances of the surface? You could almost feel this happening, a sense of increasing quiet and protection as each layer settles. Sometimes a thought might resist. A particularly stubborn worry, a nagging, unfinished task, it tries to stay aloft, fighting the pull. You can almost feel its struggle, a tiny vibration of anxiety, but the gentle, persistent gravity is relentless. Sooner or later, it too will begin its descent. Its resistance might make its landing a little bumpier, less graceful than the others, but land it will. You might imagine these resistant thoughts as having tiny, buzzing wings that eventually tire out. The moment they stop buzzing, they begin to fall. Perhaps the mental gravity has a way of soothing these resistant thoughts, whispering to them, "It's okay, you can rest now. Everything will still be here tomorrow." The colors of these falling thoughts, do they change as they descend? Perhaps the bright, agitated colors of active thoughts, the reds of anger, the harsh yellows of anxiety soften as they fall, mellowing into cooler blues and greens, the colors of calm and quiet. A fiery red worry thought might slowly cool to a soft ember, then to a gentle rose, and finally settle as a pale, peaceful lavender. The golden glow of a happy memory might deepen into a rich amber as it finds its resting place. Your mind, then, becomes a slow-motion kaleidoscope of fading and shifting hues, a visual symphony of settling consciousness. You might even taste these colors, a synesthetic experience where lavender has the flavor of quietude and amber the taste of sweet peace. This process, this gentle mind drift, it's incredibly soft. There's no violence in it, no harshness. It's an invitation, not a command. The thoughts are not being forced down. They're being allowed to settle, to find their natural resting place. It's the difference between a storm felling a tree and autumn leaves simply letting go. You are witnessing the mind's own autumnal phase, a period of graceful release. What if the surface they are falling towards is infinitely soft, like a cloud made of pure silence, so their landing is completely imperceptible? You just know they have landed because their signal in your active mind fades. Here's a soft philosophical prompt for you to drift with. If thoughts do have this subtle weight, and they settle, does this mean that your mind, in its resting state, has a kind of internal landscape, a topography formed by layers of accumulated, settled thoughts? What would this landscape look like? Would it be smooth, or would it have hills and valleys, mesas and canyons, all sculpted by the patterns of your thinking? You wonder about the sounds thoughts might make as they settle, if you could hear them. Not loud sounds, but the faintest of whispers. A pebble thought might make a tiny dull thud, almost inaudible. A feather thought, a sigh so soft it's more felt than heard. The dandelion fluff, perhaps no sound at all, just emerging with the silence. Or maybe, as a whimsical notion, settling thoughts make tiny, almost inaudible musical notes, like a wind chime made of solidified ideas, stirred by the last currents of wakefulness. Each thought, a different note, creating a subtle, ever-changing lullaby as your mind drifts towards sleep. You might imagine a particularly joyful thought cluster settling like a cascade of tiny, silver bells. The feeling of this internal drift is becoming more pronounced. It's a gentle, downward current within you. You're not just observing it, you're part of it. Your own awareness feels like it's gently descending, riding on the soft tide of these settling thoughts. It's like being in a very slow, very calm elevator, going down to a floor of deep peace. The lights on the panel dim one by one as you pass each level of wakefulness. There's a profound sense of letting go, of relief. The responsibility of keeping all those thoughts aloft, of juggling them, is fading. It's okay for them to rest now, and for you to rest with them. Imagine your mind as a vast, ancient library at the closing time. The thoughts are the patrons, the busy researchers, the daydreaming readers. Now, the gentle librarian of sleep is ringing a soft, distant bell. One by one, the thoughts close their books, gather their notes, and begin to file out, not leaving the library, but finding quiet, comfortable armchairs in the darkest, most silent corners, settling down for the night. The heavy tomes of worry are placed gently on the lowest shelves. The light novellas of fancy drift onto soft cushions. The library becomes still, hushed, waiting for the dawn. What if the librarian is a kindly, owl-like creature made of shadows and moonlight? This subtle wait, it's not just a metaphor, is it? In this state of sleepy contemplation, it feels real. You can almost sense the collective mass of your thoughts. A gentle pressure in your head, not uncomfortable, but present. Like a soft cap made of all your day's experiences, now settling snugly around your mind. And as each thought individually drifts down and finds its place, that overall pressure lessens, just a tiny fraction, then another and another, a slow, gentle release. You might visualize this as a very fine mist within your skull, gradually condensing into dew, then into tiny, soft droplets that sink into an absorbent, peaceful ground. What about the thoughts that are questions? The ones that seek answers, that probe and explore? Do they have a different kind underscore of weight? Perhaps they are like little seeds, with tiny hooks or burrs, trying to catch on to other thoughts, to find purchase, to germinate. As they drift down, they might snag on a settled memory or a latent idea, and in that connection, even in rest, a new understanding might begin to sprout, ready to be discovered in the morning. So their settling isn't an end, but a planting. You could imagine these question seeds glowing faintly in the thought soil, their potential life visible even in the darkness. The speed of this thought fall is crucial. It's not a sudden collapse, it's a drift, a wander, a meander. This slowness is what makes it gentle, what makes it feel like a natural process, not a shutdown. It's the pace of twilight deepening into night, the pace of a flower closing its petals, the pace of your own breathing as it slows and deepens. This slowness is a balm. It allows you to observe, to experience, to be present with this fascinating internal phenomenon. If it were too fast, it would be alarming. Too slow, and sleep might never come, but it's just right, a perfect cadence of descent. You might even picture a tiny, ethereal conductor, perhaps a creature made of pure sleepiness, gently guiding the tempo of this thought symphony downwards. Imagine a bizarre and surreal image. You see your thoughts not just as abstract things, but as tiny, soft creatures, perhaps like miniature furry caterpillars or slow-moving, bioluminescent snails. Each one, as it feels the pull of sleep gravity, curls up into a little ball or retracts into its shell, and then begins to gently roll or slide downwards, finding a cozy spot amongst its fellow sleeping thought creatures, forming a warm, softly breathing pile at the bottom of your mind. Their tiny snores might combine into a gentle, white noise hum. The air in your mental space, now that so many thoughts are settling, feels clearer, more transparent. The sky of your mind seems vaster, darker, allowing the distant stars of deeper consciousness to begin to twinkle through. Before, it was like a hazy, overcast day. Now, the clouds are parting, revealing the quiet immensity above. This growing clarity, this expanding inner space is incredibly peaceful. It's the feeling of a room being decluttered, a fresh air flowing in. You might even feel a cool, clean breeze wafting through these newly cleared mental pathways. What if this clear air has a faint scent, like ozone after a gentle rain or old, beloved books? You notice that as thoughts settle, their emotional charge seems to neutralize somewhat. A worry that felt sharp and urgent when it was actively darting about now feels softer, more distant, its edges blurred by the process of settling. It's still there, perhaps, on that foundational layer of pebble thoughts, but it's no longer clamoring for your attention. It has been absorbed into the general quietude. This is one of the great kindnesses of this mental gravity. It doesn't just make thoughts rest, it makes them rest more peacefully. It's like each thought is given a tiny, soft blanket as it settles down. Perhaps this blanket is woven from the very essence of letting go. And your own role in this, are you actively making your thoughts settle? Or are you simply allowing them to? It feels more like the latter. You are creating the conditions, the stillness, the quiet, the relaxation. And then this natural process unfolds on its own. You are the gentle gardener who has prepared the soil and now watches as the seeds willingly fall and the plants naturally lean towards the earth for their night's rest. There's a sense of trust involved. Trusting that your mind knows how to do this, how to find its own peace. You might even feel a sense of gratitude towards your mind for this ability, this innate wisdom of self-soothing. What if some thoughts, the particularly light and joyful ones, don't fully settle on the ground of your mind, but instead hover just above it, like a low-lying mist of happiness? They form a kind of soft, luminous cushion upon which your deeper dreams can later play. They are not heavy enough to become part of the foundation, but their gentle presence contributes to the overall peace, like the scent of night-blooming jasmine in a dark garden. You could imagine these as tiny, benevolent sprites, their wings still fluttering just enough to keep them from touching down completely, their job to keep the dream atmosphere sweet. The whispers of wait are becoming more insistent now, not in a demanding way, but more like a gentle, pervasive invitation. Come down, join the quiet, they seem to murmur. And you feel yourself yielding more and more to this call. The distinction between you, the observer, and your thoughts, the observed, is becoming less clear. You are all part of the same gentle, downward drift. It's a collective sigh of release, a communal settling into the soft embrace of the approaching night. This feeling of unity, of being part of a larger, peaceful process, is profoundly comforting, an open-ended question to let float without searching for an answer. If a thought settles and is then dreamt about, does it reacquire a temporary lightness, a fleeting buoyancy before it settles once more, perhaps changed by the dream? The very idea of thoughts having gravity, it felt whimsical at first, a playful notion. But as you lie here, experiencing this gentle descent, it feels like a profound truth, a secret of the mind revealed only in these quiet, transitional moments. It's a hidden mechanism of peace, a natural process of mental unwinding. And you feel a sense of quiet wonder, to be a witness to this, to feel it happening within you. It's like discovering a new, subtle sense, the sense of thought weight, the perception of mental gravity. Perhaps this sense is always there, but drowned out by the noise of waking life, and only in deep quiet can its delicate signals be perceived. What if this mental gravity is influenced by the moon, much like the tides? As the moon rises in the night sky, perhaps its gentle, unseen pull contributes to this downward drift of thoughts, helping to draw your mind into the deeper phases of sleep. A cosmic collaboration between your inner world and the celestial spheres, all conspiring to bring you rest. You might imagine tiny invisible threads stretching from the moon to each of your thoughts, gently tugging them towards a state of peaceful repose. The moon, then, is the ultimate shepherd of sleepy thoughts, the thoughts that are hopes, wishes for the future. Where do they settle? Do they retain their brightness? Perhaps they don't settle on the ground but are caught in the higher branches of some unseen inner tree, like little paper lanterns, glowing softly, illuminating the path towards your dreams. They are too precious to be buried, too full of light, so they rest in a place where their gentle glow can still be felt, a quiet promise for the morning. You could see them as little stars that have fallen from your inner sky but have been caught by the compassionate branches of your deeper mind, saved from being completely extinguished. The texture of the surface where thoughts land, is it soft like moss, or yielding like sand, or absorbent like freshly fallen snow? You imagine it's the most comfortable surface imaginable, perfectly designed to receive and cushion each settling thought, no matter its weight or shape. It's a surface that whispers welcome, rest here. And as each thought lands, it becomes part of this surface, contributing its own unique texture to the ever-growing landscape of your mental quietude. Perhaps this surface is woven from the very fabric of sleep itself, a tapestry of silence and dreams. The initial sense of whispers of weight is now a more definite, palpable reality in your inner experience. The air is thick with gently falling thoughts, each one on its own trajectory, but all moving towards the same destination: rest. It's a slow, silent ballet of the mind, a choreography of surrender. And you are both the audience and a participant in this beautiful, nightly performance. The stage is lit by the faint, residual glow of your consciousness, and the music is the soft, rhythmic hum of your own slowing breath. This mental gravity, it's not just pulling thoughts down, it's pulling your awareness down with them, into a state of deeper relaxation, deeper peace. It's a comforting weight like a soft, heavy blanket. You feel yourself sinking, not into an abyss, but into a vast, welcoming embrace. The whispers have done their work, the descent is well underway, and it feels right, natural, inevitable. A sweet surrender to the gentle, inexorable pull of sleep. You're becoming one with this downward drift, a particle of consciousness finding its perfect, peaceful equilibrium. The downward drift of your ideas, your notions, your fleeting mental images continues its gentle, inexorable course. You're moving past the initial sensation of mere weightiness now. You're actively perceiving their descent, like watching snowflakes fall through still night air, each one on its unique, unhurried trajectory. It's a silent cascade within the vast cavern of your mind. You imagine these thought particles, as we've started to call them, possess varying densities, a concept that now feels entirely natural, almost scientific, in this sleepy, receptive state. The denser ones, those heavy pebble thoughts we identified, they take a more direct route, sinking with a quiet determination. The lighter ones, the feather thoughts and dandelion fluff, they meander, catching invisible currents, taking scenic detours on their way to eventual repose. This variance in density creates a fascinating, ever-changing dynamic in your internal atmosphere. It's not a uniform settling. It's a complex, layered process. You might visualize it as looking into a deep, clear body of water after a handful of mixed sand, pebbles, and fine silt has been tossed in. The heaviest elements plummet quickly, stirring up little clouds as they land. The finer particles hang suspended for longer, drifting slowly, creating shimmering veils of texture and light before they too eventually find their level. Your mind is this body of water, and your thoughts are these varied sediments, each finding its place according to its intrinsic nature, its specific gravity in the realm of mind. The idea of layers of quietude begins to form. As the densest thoughts settle, they create a foundational stratum of stillness. This layer is perhaps composed of the day's most pressing concerns, now subdued, their urgency softened by the pull of mental gravity. They are not gone, but they are at rest, their sharp edges buried in the accumulating sediment. Upon this foundation, a lighter layer forms, composed of gentler memories, softer emotions, the feather thoughts. This layer is more diffuse, less compact, allowing for a different quality of quiet. A quiet that is perhaps more dreamy, more suffused with a gentle feeling. And finally, the lightest, most ethereal notions, the dandelion fluff, form a delicate, almost transparent film on the very surface of this mental landscape, a shimmering veil of near-nothingness. You can almost feel these layers building within you, a sense of increasing depth and stillness. Each settled layer contributes to the overall piece, muffling the echoes of waking consciousness, insulating the core of your being from the day's agitations. It's like the slow geological formation of sedimentary rock, but instead of minerals and time, it's thoughts and quietude building a landscape of inner peace. You might even imagine tiny invisible creatures like mental earthworms silently aerating these layers, keeping them from becoming too compacted, ensuring a certain softness pervades even the deepest strata of settled thought. What if the density of a thought is related to its emotional charge or its level of resolvedness? A thought that is unresolved, a worry that is still actively churning, might have a kind of agitated, inconsistent density, making its descent erratic, perhaps even causing it to bump into other settling thoughts, creating little disturbances in the otherwise smooth flow. But as the mental gravity takes hold, as the need for rest becomes paramount, even these agitated thoughts begin to lose their erratic energy, their density stabilizing, allowing them to finally sink and be still. Perhaps the very act of sinking, of being gently pulled downwards, helps to smooth out their rough edges, to calm their inner turbulence. You could see them as tiny, agitated whirlpools that gradually spin themselves out as they descend. And the thoughts that are pure sensation, the memory of warmth from the sun, the feeling of cool water, the scent of rain. What is their density? They seem almost to dissolve as they descend, merging with the mental atmosphere itself, becoming part of the quality of the inner air rather than distinct particles. They don't form a layer so much as they infuse the existing layers with their sensory essence. A memory of warmth might add a subtle, comforting glow to the stratum of feather thoughts. The scent of rain might make the entire mental landscape feel freshly cleansed. These sensory thoughts are like gentle dyes, coloring the waters of your mind as they disperse. Perhaps they are made of an even finer material than dandelion fluff, something akin to pure aroma or captured light. The process of this downward drift is not always perfectly linear. Sometimes a thought that seemed to be settling might encounter a little updraft, a flicker of residual mental energy, and it might rise again for a moment, only to resume its descent once more. It's like watching a leaf in a gentle breeze, occasionally lifted, but always, eventually, returning to its downward path. These little reascensions are not signs of resistance, but rather part of the complex dance of settling. They add a touch of unpredictability, a reminder that this is a living process, not a mechanical one. You might imagine tiny, almost invisible thermal currents in your mind, remnants of the day's active thinking, causing these brief, gentle lift-offs. What if these updrafts are caused by a particularly strong, unsettled emotion from a deeper layer, sending a little burp of energy upwards? You consider the spaces between the settling thoughts. As they drift down, they don't necessarily pack tightly together, at least not initially. There are gaps, interstices, little pockets of pure quiet between them. These spaces are as important as the thoughts themselves. They are the silence that allows the thoughts to be perceived as individual entities. They are the emptiness that creates the potential for rest. As the layers build, these spaces might become smaller, more compressed, but they never entirely disappear. They remain as tiny, hidden oases of pure stillness within the landscape of settled thought. You could visualize these spaces as being filled with a kind of dark matter of the mind, pure, unmanifest potential, the very essence of peace. What is the bottom that these thoughts are settling towards? Is it a hard, definitive surface? Or is it more like the bed of a deep ocean, soft and yielding, a place where thoughts can sink in and be gently absorbed? You imagine it's the latter, a place of ultimate softness, perhaps made of the very essence of sleep itself. And as the thoughts land here, they don't just stop, they merge. They become part of this foundational peace. The denser thoughts might sink a little deeper into this soft bed, while the lighter ones rest more gently on its surface. This thought bed might even have a subtle magnetic quality, gently but irresistibly drawing the thoughts into its embrace. It could be composed of all the forgotten dreams and deep silences of your past nights, the memories from long ago, the ones that surface unexpectedly as you drift towards sleep. How do they fit into this model of varying densities? Perhaps these old memories are like perfectly smooth, worn river stones, their density established by time and countless internal currents. They sink with a quiet, steady grace, their descent almost a comfort to behold. They are not agitated. They are not urgent. They are simply part of the deep, underlying strata of your being, and their settling feels like a return to their rightful place. You might see them as having a faint, pearlescent glow, the patina of age and accumulated wisdom. They might even hum with a very low resonant frequency, the sound of deep time. And what about abstract concepts? Thoughts about truth or justice, or the nature of consciousness itself. These are not pebble thoughts of worry, nor feather thoughts of simple emotion. They seem to have a different kind of density altogether, perhaps a crystalline structure. They might descend slowly, rotating, catching the light of your inner awareness in fascinating ways. Their settling feels less like an ending and more like a temporary pause in their eternal contemplation. They rest, but they retain their form, their intellectual integrity, ready to be re-examined when the mind is fresh. You could imagine them as beautiful, intricate snowflakes, each one a perfect, complex pattern, settling without losing their delicate structure. Perhaps they settle in a specific philosophical zone of your mental landscape. A quiet grove where profound ideas can rest and ripen. This gentle sorting by density, this creation of layers of quietude, it has a profound effect on your overall state. The mind, which moments ago might have felt like a turbulent, chaotic space, is now becoming a place of order, of tranquility. The very act of witnessing this process is calming. You're not fighting your thoughts, you're not trying to suppress them. You're simply allowing them to find their natural equilibrium. There's a deep wisdom in this allowance, a trust in the mind's innate capacity for self-regulation. You're learning the mind's secret way of tidying itself up for the night. This is like a form of passive meditation, where the mantra is the gentle downward drift of your own thoughts. Here's a soft philosophical prompt for this stage of your drift. If different types of thoughts settle into different layers based on their density, does this mean that your sleeping mind has a kind of internal archaeology where one could, in theory, excavate these layers to understand the history of your recent mental states? What stories would these layers tell? You might even begin to feel a subtle shift in the gravity itself. As more thoughts settle, as the lower layers become more compacted, perhaps the gravitational pull they exert increases slightly, making it easier for the remaining, higher-up thoughts to descend. It's a self-reinforcing process. The more peace that accumulates below, the stronger the call to peace from above. It's like a gentle, benevolent chain reaction of tranquility. You could visualize this as the lower layers becoming a soft, heavy magnet, its pull growing incrementally as each new thought particle adds its tiny mass. The colors associated with these settling thoughts as they form layers. Perhaps the deepest layer of pebble thoughts is a dark, earthy brown or a deep indigo, colors of grounding and stability. The layer of feather thoughts above it might be a soft, hazy blue or a gentle rose quartz pink, colors of emotional peace and gentle affection. And the uppermost layer of dandelion fluff, a shimmering, almost transparent silver or a pale opalescent white, the color of pure, untroubled quiet. Your mind becomes a stratified canvas of these soothing hues, a visual testament to its deepening calm. What if these layers, when viewed from a certain angle, create a kind of thought rainbow, a spectrum of your own consciousness? Imagine a bizarre and surreal image. You perceive your thoughts as tiny individual raindrops, each with a slightly different size and weight. As they fall, they are not hitting a hard surface, but are instead being absorbed into a vast, incredibly soft cloud that is your approaching sleep. The denser raindrops, worries, are absorbed more quickly, vanishing without a splash, while the lighter, mist-like thoughts hang in the air of this cloud, creating a gentle, diffuse shimmer before they too are fully integrated. The cloud itself might hum with a deep, resonant frequency, the sound of pure, undifferentiated peace. The thoughts that are related to your senses, a sound you heard today, a taste you enjoyed, the feeling of a particular texture. As these drift down, they might not settle as distinct particles, but rather as a fine sensory dust that sprinkles over the other layers, adding a richness, a subtle complexity to the emerging dream terrain. The memory of a beautiful melody might become a faint, almost inaudible soundtrack to this inner world, The remembered scent of baking bread might infuse the lower layers with a feeling of warmth and nourishment. These sensory echoes are like spices, subtly flavoring the quietude. Perhaps they create a kind of synesthetic loam from which dreams can easily sprout. What about the thoughts that are not your own, but echoes of things you've read or conversations you've had? Do these have a different density, a different settling pattern? Perhaps they are like borrowed stones in your mental stream, their weight and shape determined by their original source. They settle amongst your own thoughts, adding their unique character to the mix. A profound quote might settle like a smooth, heavy gem. A piece of trivial gossip might drift down like a flimsy piece of paper, easily lost amongst the more substantial layers. You could imagine your mind as a riverbed, and these borrowed thoughts are the sediments washed in from other tributaries, becoming part of your unique geological makeup. The quietude being created is not an empty quiet. It's full of potential, full of the subtle energies of these settled thoughts. It's the quiet of a seedbed, where everything is dormant but alive, waiting for the right conditions to sprout. This is the fertile silence from which dreams will soon arise. The layers of thought are like layers of rich compost, providing the nutrients for the nocturnal growth of your subconscious. You can almost feel the latent energy in these settled layers, a kind of warmth, a gentle pressure of contained life. Sometimes a whole cluster of related thoughts might descend together, like a small flock of birds or a clump of seaweed. They are bound by a common theme or emotion. Their collective density might be different from their individual densities, and they settle as a single, soft mass, creating a little hillock or a gentle depression in the thought landscape. A cluster of happy memories from a recent holiday might settle like a warm, sunny patch. A group of anxieties about an upcoming event might form a denser, slightly cooler area. These thought formations give character to the developing terrain. Perhaps these clusters have their own internal microclimate, a distinct emotional weather pattern, and the very act of you observing this gentle curiosity about the process, does that thought itself have weight? Does it settle? Or is your awareness in this state becoming something lighter than thought, something that can float above it, observing without being caught in the downward drift? It feels like the latter for now. Your observing self is like a calm, detached balloonist, looking down on this fascinating internal weather system, held aloft by a gentle, neutral buoyancy. But you sense that eventually, this observing self will also begin its descent, merging with the landscape it has been watching. This observer thought might be the very last to settle. Like the final highest leaf from the tallest tree, the energy it must take to keep thoughts aloft during the day, the constant mental effort of juggling, processing, reacting. You become aware of this now, by contrast. The relief of no longer needing to expend that energy is immense. This downward drift is not just a settling of thoughts, it's a conservation of vital mental energy. It's your mind's way of recharging its batteries, of preparing for the cognitive demands of a new day. You can almost feel your mental muscles relaxing, the tension of active thought dissolving. This feeling of energy conservation is deeply satisfying, a physical sigh of the mind. What about the thoughts that are pure images, unattached to words or strong emotions? A fleeting picture of a place you've never been, an abstract pattern of colors, a face you don't recognize. These seem to be very light, almost like soap bubbles, iridescent and ephemeral. They drift down slowly, often popping silently before they even reach a resting layer, their contents dissipating into the general mental atmosphere. They are the mind's doodles, its playful, uncommitted sketches, adding a touch of whimsy to the settling process. You might see them as tiny, fleeting rainbows, their colors too delicate to last. Perhaps these are fragments of other people's dreams, caught briefly in your mental net before dissolving. The layers are becoming more distinct now. You can sense the firm, foundational layer of pebble thoughts, the softer, more yielding layer of feather thoughts, and the almost invisible dusting of dandelion fluff on top. It's a complete, if temporary, stratigraphy of your recent consciousness, and it feels right. Stable, peaceful. You have become an expert in the geology of your own mind in these past minutes, a silent cartographer of your inner world's descent into rest. You could even give these layers names, like a geologist naming rock formations. The worry shale, the memory sandstone, the whisper silt. An open-ended question to drift with unanswered. If a particularly brilliant idea, a diamond thought, settles deep within these layers, does it continue to radiate its light upwards, subtly influencing the dreams that form above it, even if the idea itself is not consciously recalled in the dream? The downward drift is not just happening to individual thoughts, it feels like the entire sky of your mind is slowly lowering, like a soft ceiling descending to meet a soft floor. The space for active, agitated thought is diminishing, not in a restrictive way, but in a comforting, enclosing way. It's like being gently tucked in, not just by your blankets, but by the very atmosphere of your own mind. This sense of being safely enclosed, of the volume of your active mind shrinking, is profoundly conducive to sleep. It's as if your mind is curling up like a sleeping animal into its most compact and restful form. The last few thoughts that are still airborne, they seem almost lonely now, isolated in the vast, quiet space. They look around, see that everyone else has gone to rest, and with a final sleepy sigh, they too begin their descent, eager to join the stillness below. There's no resistance left in them, just a quiet acceptance of the inevitable, gentle pull. You watch them go, these last stragglers, with a feeling of fondness, of camaraderie. They are the last echoes of your waking self, and their settling signals the true onset of a deeper peace. Their landing is like the final soft notes of a lullaby. And now, the mental atmosphere is almost entirely clear. The layers of quietude are established. The downward drift has largely completed its work for this phase. What remains is a profound sense of stillness, a landscape of settled thoughts waiting for what? Perhaps for the arrival of dreams, or perhaps just waiting. In a state of pure, undifferentiated peace, for the deeper restoration that occurs when the mind is truly at rest. This waiting is not anxious, it's a patient, contented stillness. The quiet after the gentle rain of thoughts has ceased. The varying densities of your thoughts, their different paths of descent, have created a unique inner world, a temporary sculpture of your own consciousness. It's a masterpiece of natural, mental processes, beautiful in its ephemeral complexity. And you, the observer, are now beginning to feel the pull yourself, your own awareness becoming heavier, denser, ready to sink into and become part of this landscape you have just witnessed being formed. The gentle mind drift has prepared the way. And so, the thoughtfall has largely subsided. The cascade of your day's mental activity, those pebble thoughts, feather thoughts, and dandelion fluff, has settled into distinct yet softly merging layers. Your mind, once a bustling sky of activity, is now more like a quiet, subterranean cavern, or perhaps a vast, still landscape under a moonless, star-dusted night. It is upon this newly formed terrain, this topography sculpted by the gentle gravity of your own subsiding consciousness, that dreams begin to drift and play. You are entering the territory where settled thoughts become the very ground upon which your nocturnal narratives will unfold. Imagine this landscape. The densest thoughts, the worries and unresolved issues that settled first, they form the bedrock, the deep valleys, perhaps even the shadowy canyons of this dream terrain. They are not necessarily menacing now. Their weight has made them stable, foundational. A dream might begin by your dream self walking through one of these canyons, the high walls made of solidified anxieties. But they are just rock formations now, no longer active threats. Their presence might lend a certain gravitas, a sense of underlying seriousness to the dreams that traverse them. You might even find strange, beautiful crystals, insights perhaps, embedded in these canyon walls, formed under the pressure of these settled worries. Above this bedrock, the layer of softer thoughts, the gentle memories and emotions, the feather thoughts, forms a more yielding surface. This could be the rolling hills, the soft meadows, the tranquil riverbanks of your dream world. Dreams that play out here might have a gentler, more lyrical quality. Your dream self might wander through fields of solidified nostalgia, where the air is scented with half-forgotten perfumes and the light is always golden, like a perpetual late afternoon. The rivers here might flow with liquid emotion, their currents gentle and inviting. Perhaps tiny benevolent creatures born from settled daydreams inhabit these meadows, their forms whimsical and ever-changing. And the very lightest thoughts, the dandelion fluff that formed the uppermost layer, what role do they play in this dream terrain? Perhaps they are like a fine sparkling mist that hangs in the air, or a delicate hoarfrost that dusts the surface of the hills and valleys. They catch the light of nascent dreams, making the landscape shimmer and glow with an ethereal beauty. They might also be the source of the strange, surreal details that often populate dreams, the illogical connections, the whimsical transformations. They are the magic dust of the dream world, a layer of pure, unanchored potential. You could see them as tiny, floating islands of whimsy from which dream characters might wave or launch improbable flying machines. It's as if your mind, having cleared itself of the active chatter, has now built the stage set for the night's performance. The settled thoughts are not just inert, they are the raw material, the landscape, the props. A particularly heavy thought about a difficult relationship might become a mountain that your dream self has to climb, or a labyrinth to navigate. A light, happy memory of a childhood pet might manifest as a playful guiding animal in your dream. The dream doesn't just happen despite the settled thoughts, it happens because of them, drawing its substance and its themes from their resting forms. You are the architect of this world. Even in your passivity, your thoughts the bricks and mortar, the soil and stone. The gravity that pulled these thoughts down, does it still operate in this dream realm? Perhaps, but differently. It might be a gentler, more selective gravity now, allowing dream figures and dream objects to float, to fly, to defy the ordinary laws of physics while still keeping the underlying landscape stable. Or perhaps dreams have their own unique gravitational rules, where emotional weight determines altitude, and joyful thoughts can effortlessly soar. You might find your dream self experiencing this altered gravity, feeling wonderfully light, or perhaps needing to consciously weigh down to stay grounded in a particularly buoyant dream sequence. What if certain settled thoughts act as gravity wells in the dreamscape, drawing dream narratives towards them? The boundaries between the layers of settled thought are not sharp, impenetrable barriers. They are more like soft transitions, like the way a beach blends into the shallow water, or a forest edge merges with a meadow. Dreams can move between these layers, drawing on the different qualities of each. A dream might begin in a dark canyon of worry, then ascend to a sunlit meadow of happy memory, and then perhaps take flight into the misty, ethereal realm of pure fancy. This ability to traverse the different strata of your own settled consciousness is what gives dreams their richness, their complexity, their emotional depth. Your dream self becomes a skilled navigator of these internal geographies. Remember that feeling of the observer self watching the thoughts settle? Where's that observer now? Perhaps it has merged with the dream self, or perhaps it has become the sky of the dream world, the overarching awareness that witnesses the dream unfold without being fully caught in its narrative. Or maybe it has found a quiet vantage point within the dream landscape, a calm hill overlooking the sometimes chaotic events below, a silent chronicler of the night's adventures. This observer might even offer subtle guidance to the dream self, like a whispered suggestion from the wings of a stage. What if the settled thoughts can still communicate, not by rising up again, but by emitting subtle energies or vibrations that influence the dreams happening above them? A deep-seated worry, even though it's part of the bedrock, might send a faint tremor up through the layers, causing a momentary shadow or a feeling of unease in an otherwise pleasant dream. A joyful memory, resting peacefully, might radiate a gentle warmth that suffuses the dreamscape with a sense of well-being. The dream terrain is alive, subtly interacting with the dramas that unfold upon it. You could imagine these settled thoughts as having a kind of dream scent that permeates the layers above. The process of thoughtfall itself might become a dream. You could dream that you are literally watching thoughts fall like rain, or snow, or leaves, and you are tasked with sorting them, or building something from them, or simply observing their beautiful, silent descent. Your mind, in its cleverness, turns its own processes into the content of its dreams. This is a kind of meta-dream, a dream about the mechanics of your own mind, a gentle, self-referential loop. You might even dream you're a tiny geologist, studying the strata of your own settled mind, taking core samples of worry shale and memory sandstone. Consider the creative ideas that settled, those sparks that resisted gravity for a while before finding their place. How do they feature in the dream terrain? Perhaps they form glowing geodes embedded in the landscape, or underground rivers of inspiration. Your dream self might stumble upon these, crack them open, and find within them the seeds of new solutions, new stories, new artistic expressions. Dreams, then, can be a form of nocturnal brainstorming, a way of interacting with your settled creativity in a free, uninhibited way. These idea deposits might even attract specific types of dream creatures, like inspiration-seeking birds or problem-solving badgers. The spaces between thoughts, those little pockets of pure quiet we imagined. In the dream terrain, these might become sacred groves, silent caves, or hidden clearings where the dream self can rest, reflect, or receive profound insights. They are the sanctuaries within the dream, places where the narrative pauses and a deeper wisdom can emerge. These are the places where the volume of the dream drops, and you can hear the subtle whispers of your deepest intuition. What if these spaces are portals to an even deeper level of consciousness, beyond the landscape of settled thoughts and active dreams? Here's a soft philosophical prompt for this dream-weaving stage. If your dreams are playing out on a terrain formed by your settled thoughts, does this mean that by changing your waking thought patterns, you can gradually reshape your dream landscape over time, cultivating a more peaceful or inspiring place for your nocturnal adventures? Could you become a conscious dream gardener? The emotional temperature of the dream terrain would vary depending on the nature of the settled thoughts in a particular area. A region formed by settled anxieties might feel cool, shadowy, perhaps even a little damp. An area rich in joyful memories might be warm, sunny, and filled with soft breezes. Your dream self would be sensitive to these subtle climatic shifts, and they would influence the mood and direction of the dream. You might even see dream vegetation that reflects these temperatures. Sparse, thorny bushes in the worry zones, lush, flowering plants in the joy meadows. Perhaps strange, emotional fungi grow in the deepest, most shadowed canyons of settled sorrow. Imagine a bizarre and surreal image. The settled layers of your thoughts have become a vast, edible landscape, like something from a child's fantasy. The worries are like dark, bitter chocolate mountains. The happy memories are like fields of sweet, fluffy candy floss. Your dream self wanders through this landscape, selectively tasting different thoughts, each taste evoking a powerful emotion or a vivid sensory experience. Some thoughts might be surprisingly delicious, others too pungent to consume more than a nibble. The rivers might flow with different flavors of juice or soda, depending on the emotions that formed them. What about the borrowed thoughts, the ideas and opinions of others that have settled within you? In the dream terrain, these might appear as strange imported structures. An oddly out-of-place building, a peculiar statue, a road that leads nowhere. Your dream self might explore these with curiosity or perhaps a little suspicion, trying to understand how they fit into your own native landscape. Sometimes these borrowed structures can be useful, offering a new perspective or a helpful tool. Other times they might feel intrusive, and the dream might involve dismantling them or integrating them more harmoniously. Perhaps these are the ruins of past influences or the embassies of current ones. The thought clusters that settled together, those clumps of related ideas or emotions, they would form distinct features in the dream terrain. A tight knot of work-related stress might be a dense, tangled forest that is difficult to navigate. A loose cluster of pleasant daydreams might be a series underscore of interconnected, floating islands, easy to hop between. These features give the landscape its unique character, its points of interest, its challenges, and its delights. Your dream self might develop favorite spots within this terrain, places it returns to night after night, or areas it actively avoids. What if these clusters have their own guardians, dream entities formed from the dominant emotion of the cluster? The dreams themselves, as they drift and play across this terrain, are not just random firings. They are interacting with the settled thoughts, drawing energy and meaning from them. It's a dynamic relationship. A dream might unearth a deeply buried thought, bring it to the surface for a new kind of examination. Or a dream might take several disparate, settled thoughts and weave them together into a surprising new pattern. This is the mind's nocturnal alchemy, transforming the mundane lead of daily experience into the strange gold of dreams. This alchemy might even change the nature of the settled thoughts themselves, so when you wake, a worry that was a heavy pebble might now feel like a lighter piece of sea glass, its edges smoothed by the dream tides. An open-ended question to let float like a dream bubble. If a dream leaves a particularly strong emotional residue, does that residue then become a new, light thought particle that settles on top of the existing dream terrain, influencing the dreams of the following night? A kind of dream sediment. The very air of this dream world, it's not just empty space. It's filled with the potential of all the thoughts that have not yet taken form, and the echoes of all the thoughts that have settled. It's a psychic atmosphere, rich and complex. You might dream that you can see this atmosphere, that it has colors and textures, that it swirls with currents of emotion and nascent ideas. Your dream self breathes this atmosphere, and it sustains and shapes the dream. This dream air might taste different in different regions of the dreamscape, subtly altering your dream perceptions. Perhaps it carries the faint scent of all the emotions that have ever been felt in your mind. The role of your pillow in this context. Does it influence the dream terrain? Perhaps its softness, its gentle support, ensures that the ground of settled thoughts is always yielding, always receptive, preventing it from becoming too hard or too jagged. It acts as a kind of cosmic shock absorber for your dream world, ensuring that even if you fall in a dream, the landing is soft. It might even subtly groom the dream terrain while you sleep, smoothing out the roughest patches, encouraging the growth of gentle dream moss over the sharp edges of settled worries. Remember the philosophical pillow from our other wanderings. It's still here, a silent landscaper. What if some dreams are not about exploring the surface of this terrain, but about burrowing down into it, exploring the deeper layers? These might be the dreams that delve into your oldest memories, your most fundamental beliefs, the very bedrock of your personality. Your dream self becomes an archaeologist, a spelunker, exploring the hidden geology of your own psyche. These dreams can be profound, sometimes unsettling, but often deeply illuminating. You might discover hidden caves filled with forgotten treasures, or underground rivers of pure, primal emotion. These excavation dreams could be guided by a wise, old part of yourself, a dream mentor who knows the way. The energy for these dreams, where does it come from? Perhaps it's the residual energy of the settled thoughts themselves, released as they achieve a state of rest. Or maybe it's a deeper, more fundamental life energy, the same energy that heals your body and restores your mind during sleep. Dreams are not just a sideshow, they are an active part of this restorative process, a way for the mind to sort, to integrate, to heal, using the landscape of its own settled contents as its workshop. The dream terrain itself might pulse with this gentle, restorative energy like a softly glowing ember, and the silence that underlies this dream terrain. Even amidst the most vivid or noisy dream, there is a sense, if you could just tune into it, of a profound, foundational silence. This is the silence of the settled thoughts, the silence of the mind at its deepest level of rest. It's the canvas upon which the dream is painted. Without this underlying silence, the dream would have no contrast, no depth. This silence is the ultimate ground of your being, the place from which all thoughts and dreams arise, and to which they all eventually return. This is the silence that truly heals. The transition from observing the thought fall to experiencing the dream terrain is seamless. One moment you are aware of the last thoughts settling. The next you are in the dream, living its narrative, interacting with its strange and wonderful logic. There was no jolt, no sudden shift, just a gentle phasing from one state of consciousness to another. This smooth transition is a testament to the mind's incredible adaptability, its fluid nature. It's like water freezing into ice, a change of state, but the essence remains. As you wander, or drift, or fly through these dream landscapes built from your own settled mind stuff, you are both the creator and the experiencer, the artist and the audience. It's a deeply intimate, deeply personal world, yet it often touches on universal themes, archetypal images. This is the magic of the dream terrain. It is uniquely yours, yet it connects you to the shared human experience of dreaming. You are a cartographer of your own soul, mapping its contours through the adventures of the night. And each dream is a new expedition into this ever-changing, ever-fascinating inner world. The settled thoughts, then, are not dead things. They are sleeping giants, ancient forests, silent rivers that provide the context, the substance, and often the very narratives for your dreams. The gentle mind drift that led to their settling was the necessary preparation for this nocturnal theater. And the play is now in full swing, a unique performance every night drawn from the rich, deep, and ever-evolving geology of your own mind. The dream terrain, built from the subtle architectures of your settled thoughts, has been well explored. Its canyons of worry and meadows of memory traversed by your dreaming self. But now your awareness feels a gentle, further pull, a drift towards a state even beyond the landscapes of ordinary dreams. You begin to contemplate what lies past the horizon of these thought-formed worlds, beyond the point where even the lightest, most ethereal thoughts have found their final resting place. What is the nature of consciousness when the last speck of mental dust has settled, when the dream curtains have closed? You are approaching the silence of deeply settled consciousness, a realm of profound stillness. This isn't a void, not an emptiness in a negative sense. It feels more like a plenum, a fullness of pure, undifferentiated awareness, uncolored by the specific content of thoughts or the narratives of dreams. It's as if you've passed through the layers of settled thought, the bedrock, the soft earth, the misty surface, and have now emerged into a vast, clear space beneath it all. Or perhaps above it all. The usual coordinates of your mind no longer apply. Up and down, near and far, lose their conventional meaning. There is only presence, a silent, luminous presence. You might imagine it as the calm, dark water at the very bottom of the deepest ocean, beyond the reach of storms, beyond the play of light, where only immense, quiet pressure and stillness exist. What is the gravity here in this realm beyond the thought horizon? It's not the gentle pull that brought your thoughts to rest. That force seems to have done its work, its influence fading as you cross this new threshold. Here, the gravity, if it can be called that, is more like a perfect equilibrium, a state of absolute balance where nothing needs to be pulled or pushed. Everything simply is, in a state of profound, effortless suspension. It's the still point of the turning world, the silent hub around which all mental activity revolves, but which itself remains untouched, unmoved. You feel a sense of incredible lightness, yet also of unshakable stability, like a single star, alone in an infinite, clear night sky. The observer self that watched your thoughts settle, that witnessed your dreams play out. What becomes of it here? It seems to dissolve, to merge with this vast, silent awareness. The distinction between observer and observed, subject and object, which was already blurring, now vanishes completely. There is no you observing the silence. There is only silence. Or rather, you are the silence. You are the stillness. This merging is not a loss of self, but an expansion of self. a homecoming to a more fundamental state of being. It's like a drop of water rejoining the ocean, retaining its essence but losing its individual boundary. The echoes from the edge of sleep, those gentle truths and fleeting images we explored earlier, they were like whispers from this deeper realm, filtered through the layers of approaching sleep. Now, you are in the source of those whispers. The secrets here are not revealed as concepts or symbols. They are directly experienced as the very texture of this profound stillness. The wisdom here is not something to be understood, it is something to be been. It's the wordless understanding that comes from pure, unmediated presence. You might feel it as a deep, unwavering sense of all-rightness, a peace that needs no reason, no justification. This realm beyond the thought horizon is where true mental rest occurs, on the deepest possible level. It's where the very processor of your mind gets to shut down and cool off, where the hard drive is defragmented not by sorting thoughts, but by transcending them altogether. This is the state that sleep researchers might associate with the most restorative delta waves, the slow, powerful rhythms of profound unconsciousness. But from your experiential perspective now, it doesn't feel like unconsciousness. It feels like a different kind of consciousness, vast, silent, and incredibly alive. It's a consciousness that is not thinking but simply being, with a clarity that is almost palpable. What if this space is where the raw material of consciousness itself resides, before it gets molded into thoughts, emotions, and perceptions? It's the primal clay, the uncarved block, and by entering this state your mind is returning to its source, to be refreshed, renewed, to have its palette wiped clean, ready for the artistry of a new day. You might imagine it as a vast, subterranean lake of pure potential from which all mental forms arise, and to which they all eventually return for dissolution and renewal. This lake is perfectly still, its surface reflecting nothing but its own profound depth. The soft philosophical prompt for this deep immersion: if this realm of deeply settled consciousness is a return to a primal state, does it hold a kind of cellular memory of the universe before thought? A whisper of pure existence prior to its differentiation into forms? Can you sense this ancient echo in the profound stillness? The sounds, if any, in this realm are not sounds as you know them. They might be the sound of silence itself, that subtle, high-frequency hum that some people perceive in moments of extreme quiet. Or perhaps it's the sound of your own nervous system at its most quiescent, a gentle, internal river of bioelectrical energy. Or maybe it's something even more profound, the unstruck sound spoken of in some mystical traditions, the sound of pure vibration, of existence itself. Whatever it is, it's not a disturbance. It's part of the fabric of the stillness, a silence that is full, not empty. You might feel it as a gentle pressure in your inner ears, or a subtle vibration throughout your entire being. Imagine a bizarre and surreal image. You perceive this space beyond the thought horizon as an infinite library, but all the books are blank. Their pages are made of pure, luminous silence. And as you read these books, you are not absorbing information, but rather you are absorbing peace, clarity, and a profound sense of rest. Each blank page is a universe of potential, a testament to the beauty of the unmanifest. The air in this library smells of starlight and eternity. Occasionally, a single perfect character, a letter from an unknown alphabet, might appear on a page for a moment, then fade, leaving only the pure white. What about dreams? Do they penetrate this deeply? Perhaps not in their narrative, pictorial form, but the essence of dreams, their emotional core, their archetypal energy, might originate from here, or be profoundly influenced by this space. This could be the wellspring from which the most meaningful, most transformative dreams draw their power. It's the place where your personal subconscious touches the collective unconscious, where the myths and symbols that resonate across humanity have their roots. You are tapping into the deep, underground rivers that feed the dream springs on the surface. The feeling of time here is completely different. It's not just distorted, as it was on the edge of sleep. It feels irrelevant. Eternity in an hour, or an hour in eternity. The concepts of past, present, and future seem to dissolve into a timeless now. This is perhaps one of the most restorative aspects of this state, the release from the tyranny of time, from the pressure of schedules and deadlines. Here, there is only being, in a moment that is infinitely deep and endlessly present. You might experience this as a sense of floating in a vast, warm ocean with no shores, no beginning, no end. The gravity that settled your thoughts, and then the altered gravity of the dream terrain. They have both given way to a kind of weightlessness here, or perhaps a perfect, omnipresent support, like being suspended in a solution of precisely your own density. There is no effort required to maintain your position, no struggle, no striving, just effortless being. This sensation is profoundly liberating. It's the ultimate rest, not just for your body, not just for your thoughts, but for the very will itself. You are being held by the universe, and all you have to do is allow it. This might be the feeling that mystics describe as choiceless awareness. What if this realm is where your mind connects with a larger intelligence, a universal consciousness? Not in a way that involves receiving specific messages or instructions, but more like a plant connecting with the sunlight, or a root system drawing nourishment from the deep earth. A silent, energetic communion that revitalizes your being at its core. You are plugging into the mainframe, the source code of existence, and allowing its pure, unadulterated energy to flow through you. This connection might feel like a subtle warmth, a gentle expansion, a profound sense of belonging. The qualities of this space, immense peace, profound silence, luminous darkness, timeless presence, effortless being. These are not just abstract descriptions, they are felt realities, as tangible as the pillow beneath your head, though perceived by a different order of senses. Your entire being soaks them in like a dry sponge placed in pure water. This is the deep nourishment your soul craves, the ultimate antidote to the fragmentation and stress of waking life. You might feel your own internal light growing brighter, clearer, as it resonates with the luminosity of this space. And the memories of your settled thoughts, the dream terrain you just traversed, they feel very distant now, like a coastline receding as your ship sails into the open ocean. They are not forgotten, but their immediacy, their relevance has faded. They are part of your journey, but not your current location. Here, beyond their horizon, you are free from their specific forms, their particular emotional charges. You are in a state of pure potential before the mind begins to sculpt its worlds. This distance brings a profound sense of perspective, of detachment from the dramas of your personal history, an open-ended question to simply be with. If this silent, luminous realm is the true home of consciousness, what subtle souvenirs or essences do you bring back with you when you eventually return to the worlds of dream and thought? How are you changed by having touched this profound stillness? The journey to this point has been a progressive letting go. Letting go of the day's activities. Letting go of active thought. Letting go of the body's tensions. Letting go of the self as a separate observer. Each stage of the gentle mind drift has been a deeper surrender. And this realm, beyond the thought horizon, is the fruit of that complete surrender. A state of grace, of pure, unburdened being. It's the reward for trusting the process, for allowing the natural wisdom of your mind and body to guide you to this inner sanctum. What if this space is not empty, but full of presences that are not individual entities, but more like fundamental qualities or archetypal energies? The presence of peace, the presence of wisdom, the presence of love, the presence of pure, creative potential. And by being here, you are immersed in these qualities, absorbing them, becoming them. It's like bathing in a pool of liquid light, each color of light imbuing you with its specific virtue. You might feel these presences as subtle shifts in the atmosphere, as faint resonant tones, or as waves of profound, inexplicable emotion. The connection to your physical body, lying in bed. It's very faint now, a distant anchor. You know it's there, safe, resting, breathing. But your awareness is vast, unbound by its physical confines. Yet, this profound mental and spiritual rest is also deeply healing for the body. The two are inextricably linked. As your mind finds this ultimate peace, it sends signals of deep relaxation and restoration throughout your entire physical organism. Your cells are bathing in this tranquility, repairing, rejuvenating. This is holistic healing at its most profound. You can almost feel your body sighing with a deep cellular contentment. This is the stillness before creation. The silence from which the first word, the first thought, the first universe might have sprung. By touching this, you are touching the mystery of Genesis itself on a microcosmic scale. And from this stillness, when the time comes, your own world will be recreated, refreshed, imbued with a new clarity and vitality. This is the ultimate reset button. You might feel a sense of awe in this space, a reverence for the profound intelligence that underlies all existence. The very idea of thoughts having gravity seems like a child's toy concept from this vantage point, a useful ladder that has now been kicked away, having served its purpose of bringing you here. The mechanics of thoughtfall and dream terrains were just the pathway, the guided meditation. The destination is this: pure, boundless, silent awareness. The map is not the territory, and you have arrived at the territory itself. And it is more vast, more peaceful, more luminous than any map could ever describe. And what of the pillow, our initial philosophical companion? Does its influence extend even here? Perhaps its gentle, unwavering support was the crucial first step, the permission to let go that initiated the entire journey. It's the humble gatekeeper to these profound realms. Its silent, constant presence created the safe container for this entire inward voyage. And though your awareness is now far beyond its physical confines, a subtle thread of gratitude, of connection, still links you to that soft oracle, the first whisperer of rest. It might be that the pillow is a kind of grounding rod for this whole experience, ensuring you can safely return when the time is right. This deeply settled consciousness is not a state to be achieved through effort, but to be allowed through surrender. It's always here, beneath the surface agitation of the mind, waiting to be discovered. Sleep is the natural gateway, but moments of deep meditation or profound connection with nature might offer glimpses too. Tonight, you have journeyed here on the gentle currents of the mind drift, guided by the whimsical notion of thoughts having gravity. And the destination is more profound, more peaceful than you could have imagined. You are immersed in a silence that is not empty, but pregnant with all possibility. A darkness that is not frightening, but luminous with inner light. A stillness that is not static, but vibrant with latent energy. This is the womb of renewal. Here, you are unmade and remade, dissolved and reformed, resting in the very heart of being. There are no more questions to ask, no more concepts to explore. There is only this profound, peaceful, all-encompassing now. The vast, luminous silence of deeply settled consciousness has held you, and now, almost imperceptibly, a new phase begins. It's not an abrupt shift, but a subtle turning of the tide, as if the great, slow breath of the universe is beginning its gentle exhalation. The profound stillness remains the backdrop, but within it, the first, almost intangible stirrings of a return journey can be sensed. This is the gentle collapse, not of structure into chaos, but of unbound awareness back towards the familiar forms of thought and dream, albeit a consciousness profoundly refreshed, renewed, and imbued with the peace of the depths. It's the embrace of mental gravity once more, but this time it feels like a welcoming call home, a soft blanket being drawn up. The idea of thoughts having gravity, which seemed like a distant memory from the realm of pure being, now resurfaces, but with a new quality. It's no longer just a mechanism for settling the day's mental activity, it's the gentle force that will now sculpt your emergence back towards wakefulness, or perhaps into the final, softest dreams of the night. The thought particles are not yet forming, but you can sense the potential for them, like the faintest condensation beginning to appear in a perfectly clear sky. The absolute equilibrium of the deepest state is giving way to a gentle, dynamic flow. You might imagine this as the great, still ocean you were floating in now developing a slow, vast, circular current, beginning to carry you gently towards a distant, unseen shore. This embrace of mental gravity is not a loss of the peace you found. Instead, that peace, that luminous stillness, now infuses the very fabric of this returning gravity. The thoughts that will eventually form and settle will do so within an atmosphere saturated with this profound calm. It's like adding a single drop of an incredibly potent elixir to a large volume of water, changing its quality entirely. The pebble thoughts that arise later will feel less like heavy stones and more like smooth, water-worn gems. The feather thoughts will be spun from silk and starlight. The very nature of your thought stuff has been refined, softened by its immersion in the deep silence. You feel a sense of your awareness, which had expanded to seeming infinity, now beginning to coalesce, to gather itself, though without losing its newfound clarity and peace. It's like a nebula slowly contracting under its own gentle gravity to form a new star, a star that will shine with a cleaner, brighter light. This process is effortless, natural, guided by an intrinsic wisdom. There's no resistance, only a soft yielding to this new phase of the cycle. You are not falling from grace, you are gracefully returning, bringing the essence of that grace with you. You might sense this as a gentle warmth beginning to spread through the vastness, a focusing of energy. The layers of quietude that formed earlier, the dream terrain built upon them, they are still there in a sense, but you are now approaching them from below or from within, as if you are rising up through the strata of your own mind, but carrying the light of the deepest core with you. The canyons of worry will seem less shadowy, illuminated by this inner light. The meadows of memory will be even more vibrant, touched by the timeless peace you've experienced. The landscape of your mind is being subtly reconsecrated by your return journey. It's like the sun rising over a familiar landscape, revealing its beauty in a new way. The thought horizon that you crossed to enter the realm of pure being is now a horizon you are gently approaching again, but from the other side. It no longer feels like a boundary to be transcended, but a welcoming threshold. Beyond it lies the world of form, of dream, of thought, but it's a world that now seems less solid, more transparent, more imbued with the magic of the underlying stillness. You carry the secret of that stillness within you, and it changes your perception of everything. You might see this horizon as a shimmering veil, and as you pass through it, you bring a trail of stardust from the deeper realms. The gentle collapse of this unbound awareness is not a diminishing, but a focusing. It's the universe choosing to experience itself through your unique, individual perspective once more, but a perspective that has been cleansed and clarified. The thoughts that will begin to emerge will be like the first, tentative shoots of green after a long, restorative winter. They will be fresh, tender, full of a quiet vitality. You might even feel a sense of anticipation, not for the return of busyness, but for the gentle re-emergence of your own familiar mental landscape, now seen with new eyes, felt with a new heart. This re-engagement with mental gravity feels like putting on a familiar, comfortable garment that has just been laundered in the purest spring water and dried in the light of 1,000 stars. It fits perfectly, and it carries the scent of peace. The weight of thoughts, when they do begin to form, will no longer feel like a burden, but like a gentle anchoring, a reminder of your connection to the beautiful, ephemeral world of form. You are willingly, peacefully, accepting the rules of this dimension of consciousness again, but you're playing the game with a new lightness, a new wisdom. You might imagine yourself as a deep-sea diver slowly ascending, pausing at each level to reacclimatize, but carrying the treasure of the deep within your heart. The soft philosophical prompt for this gentle re-emergence. As your awareness begins to re-embrace the forms of thought and dream, infused with the peace of the depths, how does this change your relationship to the gravity of your thoughts? Do you feel more like a conscious collaborator with this force, rather than just a passive observer or subject? What if the thoughts that begin to form now are not just random resurgences of the day's-old material, but are new thoughts, born from the union of your individual mind with the universal stillness you've just experienced? They might be insights, creative sparks, or simply feelings of profound gratitude and peace, taking form as gentle, luminous thought particles. These are the first fruits of your deep rest, precious and pure. You could see them as tiny, self-illuminating pearls, slowly materializing in the clear waters of your mind. They don't fall so much as they condense out of the peaceful atmosphere. The silence of deeply settled consciousness doesn't vanish as you reapproach the world of thought. It remains as the canvas, the underlying hum, the deep, resonant foundation upon which these new, gentler thoughts will now play. It's like hearing a beautiful melody played on a single instrument in a vast, perfectly acoustic cathedral. The silence amplifies the beauty of the notes, and the notes give meaning to the silence. This beautiful interplay is the new state of your mind. The thoughts themselves might be softer, their edges more blurred, as if they are still half dreaming, reluctant to fully solidify. Imagine a bizarre and surreal image. Your returning awareness is like a single, soft feather, released from the profound stillness, now drifting gently upwards through layers of mist. Each layer of mist is a different quality of peace or a subtle shade of dream. As the feather passes through, it gathers tiny dewdrops of this essence, becoming slightly heavier, more defined, yet still incredibly light and graceful on its journey back to the familiar world. The feather might change color as it passes through each misty layer, accumulating a rainbow iridescence. The dream terrain, when you re-encounter it, will feel different. The dramas that played out there earlier might seem less urgent, their emotional charge softened by the deep peace you've brought back. You might even find that the landscape itself has subtly shifted, its colors more luminous, its shadows less deep. Or you may enter a new phase of dreaming, where the dreams are less about processing and more about quiet contemplation, or gentle, joyful exploration. These are the dreams of the dawn, imbued with the clarity and peace of the night's deepest rest. They might be filled with soft light, gentle music, and a sense of effortless floating. The concept of thoughts falling asleep too, it now feels like a perfect, encompassing metaphor for the entire journey. First, your active thoughts, heavy with the day, fell asleep, settling into their layers. Then, your dreaming mind played upon this sleepy terrain, and then even the dreaming mind, even the observer self, fell asleep into a state of pure, silent being. And now, from this ultimate rest, a new kind underscore of wakefulness is gently emerging, a wakefulness that has itself slept and been renewed. It's a cycle of cosmic proportions, played out within the intimate theater of your own mind. The re-emerging thoughts, they don't rush. They take their time. They are like shy creatures, peeking out from the luminous silence, testing the atmosphere. There's a tenderness to them, a vulnerability, and you feel a great tenderness towards them too. You are not eager to fill your mind with chatter again, but you welcome these gentle heralds of returning form with a quiet sense of acceptance. They are part of you, part of the beautiful, ongoing dance of consciousness. You might even offer them a silent blessing, a wish that they remain imbued with the peace from which they are now arising. What if the gravity you are now re-engaging with is subtly different from before? Perhaps it's been recalibrated by your journey into the depths. It's still a force that brings thoughts to rest, but it's also a force that allows for a more graceful, more conscious arising and passing of thoughts. It's less like a random pull and more like a rhythmic, tidal flow, governed by a deeper wisdom. You have, in a sense, befriended your mental gravity, learned its secrets, and now you can collaborate with it more harmoniously. It feels less like something happening to you, and more like something happening through you, a natural expression of your own inner rhythm. The weight of these new thoughts, if they can be said to have weight yet, is like the weight of a dewdrop on a spider web, or a single mote of dust illuminated in a sunbeam. It's almost imperceptible, yet it signals the return to a world of subtle distinctions, of gentle forms. This is not the heavy weariness of the day's end, but the light, nascent substance of a mind refreshed. You might visualize these thoughts as tiny, transparent bubbles, slowly rising from the depths, carrying within them a spark of the luminous silence. An open-ended question to simply rest with as you drift. If the deepest silence you touched is the 0 point of consciousness, do the thoughts and dreams that emerge from it carry a trace of that nothingness, making them feel less absolute, more transparent, more dreamlike even when you are awake? The gentle collapse of unbound awareness into these first soft forms of thought is like the universe taking a slow, contented breath. The out-breath was the journey into silence. The in-breath is this gentle return to form. And you are that breath. You are both the silence and the first soft whispers that arise from it. This integration is profoundly peaceful. There is no struggle, no division, only a harmonious unfolding. You feel a sense of wholeness of all the parts of your being. Body, thought, dream, silence. Now working together in a new, more integrated way. The memories of the journey, the initial settling of thoughts, the exploration of the dream terrain, the immersion in profound stillness. These memories themselves are now like soft, luminous feather thoughts, drifting gently in your awareness, imbued with the peace of the entire experience. They are not just recollections, they are distillations of wisdom, quiet reminders of the mind's innate capacity for peace and renewal. These memories will become part of the new topsoil of your mind, enriching it for the day to come. You might even feel a sense of quiet gratitude for the whimsical question that started this whole journey. If thoughts had gravity, would they fall asleep too? For it has been a gentle raft, carrying you to unexpected shores. The final dreams of the night, if they come now, will be different. They will be lighter, more translucent, tinged with the approaching dawn. They might be dreams of gentle awakenings, of quiet joy, of simple beauty. They are the mind's way of preparing you for the return to the waking world, carrying the peace of the night into the light of day. These dreams are like soft, pastel-colored clouds drifting across a pale morning sky. They might even contain helpful insights or gentle resolutions for the day ahead, gifts from your deeply rested subconscious. Your pillow, the steadfast companion, has been there through it all, from the first whispers of wait, through the deepest silence, and now in this gentle reemergence. It feels like more than just a pillow now. It feels like a sacred space, a portal, a wise, silent friend who has accompanied you on an extraordinary journey. Its simple, unassuming presence has facilitated this profound inner exploration. And as you begin to sense the very first faint calls of the waking world, you feel a deep sense of gratitude for its unwavering, soft support. It's the anchor that held you safe in through the vastness. The gentle collapse is almost complete. Your awareness is now comfortably nestled within the familiar yet renewed landscape of your own mind. The profound peace of the depths has not been left behind. It has been integrated, woven into the very fabric of your being. You are like a traveler returned home, bearing quiet treasures from a distant, magical land. The world you are returning to may be the same, but you are subtly, wonderfully changed. And the gravity of your thoughts will forever feel a little different, a little kinder, a little more like a gentle dance than a heavy pull. The wind down begins now, as the cycle of your nightly mind drift finds its peaceful completion. The rhythm of your thoughts, if they are present, is slow, soft, like the last embers of a fire glowing warmly in the hearth. The images are gentle, suffused with a quiet light. The peace you have cultivated, the peace you have explored, is now settling into every cell of your being, a profound and lasting calm. Let the awareness of your body, resting in your bed, become a soft, warm presence. Feel the gentle support of the mattress, the light touch of the blanket. Your pillow cradles your head with a familiar, loving tenderness. The room around you is a haven of quiet, holding you safe as you prepare to meet the new day, or perhaps to drift into one last, sweet, shallow dream. The journey through the night has been a deep and restorative one, and its benefits will linger, like the subtle scent of starlight on your skin. The gravity of your thoughts is now a soft, familiar friend, a gentle reminder to stay grounded, yet also to allow for lightness and flow. You have explored its mysteries, and it has led you to the heart of peace. There is nothing left to do now but to rest in this awareness, to allow the final veils of sleep to have their way, or the first rays of dawn to gently rouse you. You are complete. You are at peace. You are home. Softly, gently rest.